Well, if I'm going to have a fish story, I'm going to do it big. Where others think that they've figured out the Giza pyramid, I've figured out the entire system. So, let's start at the top. If you go up to Khufu's Diner and around the corner, you're going to find these big openings. One of them I like to call the Tomb of the Birds. They look like spillways in the LA River Basin. They also call them M1, N2, and N3. They're about 82 feet in elevation above sea level. I'm working with the consistency here because these structures are not all at the same elevation. So 82 feet above sea level is going to be about 3 feet above the opening. More importantly, it's going to be about a foot or two above this right here. That is actually the inlet for the system, but we're not going to get the specifics here. Water will come into the system. We'll actually go through that back chamber that they recently found in the back there and then cycle down through. This will maintain a pressure within the system at all times. Gases will be allowed to come up and through, but they will have to fight down below ground level to get out, maintaining a pressure within the system. The opposite side of the system is going to be over on this side where it's within the third structure. Again, it's all one system. This is actually above the water level, so the pressures in here have room to play. This opening is actually within the water when you look at the pool. Let's go over the water flow real fast. This is my whole fish story. But the waters that originate up here are going to be maintained at an elevation, which is why we found all the sand and stuff here, at about 82 feet and brought in. They are going to be allowed to have a pool around the side of it, but we'll get into that when we discuss the resident ambient frequencies and forces that we're playing with. Like, Tesla said, there's energy all around us. Quickly, in a nutshell, this structure, if you go to surface.greatgizapyramid.com, you can see how it was engineered with a sweeping pattern to pull and quarantine the static electricity to the top 2/3, primarily 1/3, kind of bubbling it right in here, to be honest with you. This system was designed to push the static electricity up and off the system and actually create a barrier that would pull the frequency from up there down here, but the static electricity off, so that the waters within this system kind of get a sense of euphoria that they're at a higher altitude. And we'll get into that when we talk about the condensation, which is occurring within this. The way it's engineered is to collect the condensation, pull it down to the bottom, where it's continually broken and condensating to enrich it, to pull it over to the third structure, which is containment. This structure is actually doing something just like that. It is also within a water bath down here, and it's breaking the water into its two respective parts. The oxygen is actually coming out through here, which is the gas I said that it have to fight to work its way out. That is creating the pressure, also creating an air gap, separating this whole system from nature itself, engineered really well. The oxygen is actually a byproduct, but while it comes out, it also, the way that's engineered down here, that it has a flat area and then it comes up, it's going to create an oxygen bubble which will come out, the water will come back down, and you're going to have a hammering effect, which is why people like John Cadman found evidence of cavitation, and why, if you look at photos from the 1800s, you see piles of sand at about a 4-foot interval, and in here you see at about an 18-inch interval, because that sound pressure bubble echoes down the system when it gets to the end. I'm sure they do something with the way it's focused there, but scientists can figure that out if they really cared. And then they got some play there. You also look at the way the room is engineered. It's not as clean as the way we break hydrogen and oxygen. It's dirty because it's being done by nature. So if you look at it, they actually engineer it so that the hydrogen gas, which comes out right at the location where they used to have that other rock over there, and would allow as this whole cavitation thing is occurring with the function going through, the hydrogen gas is coaxed back into that room. The oxygen gas is allowed to flow beneath it, being the heavier of the gases. And that's why it has the stuccoey area and then the smooth area. But that's okay. Out of the grotto where they have the holes drilled in the southern wall, one of those holes is the hole that brings the hydrogen south through the system, since it's drilled in the southern wall, and then up to the top where it comes in, the area like called the relieving chambers. That's fine. That's where the gas comes into the room. Any impurities that are brought there fall out of the gas, and that's why they find seeds and shells and dust that they can't account for up there. That gas is then brought down through the hole in the back area. I like to call that the combustion chamber. But the one that's currently covered by a metal thing that looks like rocks, so people don't know it's there, but there's about a 10-foot hole in there. It's got some brick on the back. It, they like, I don't care what they say. That is where the gas comes into the room. That would actually be filled with water. That's your backflash arrestor. That allows the reactions within the room not to get back and echo through the system, and we have a huge explosion, but all the explosions are kept within that room like a furnace, which is why people like John Cadman point out that is evidence of explosions within the room, because when you get hydrogen in there, the only conduit that goes outside is this one, mixed with oxygen and nitrogen. It's right here, stuff we're breathing. A lot of static electricity, remember I already talked about that. Eventually you're going to get a spark. Nature's just going to do that. They engineer it really well. If you look at that one opening there where they have the pinhole coming out through the wall, that would, and the split down the side, they're really asking for it to be right there, the perfect spot to come out. Boom, that was going to actually be your furnace head, like a little nozzle there. The way the room is engineered, if you look at it, as the water rises, it will choke off the inlet of the oxygen. As the water recedes, it will let more in. So it's self-maintaining. Now the waters within here don't stay there. They're going to go flow down through the system and, fill and wash, rinse, repeat. Now, what you don't know, what you may not see, is that as this goes on and on and on and on and on, you're actually going to be enriching the water itself to be heavy water, something we didn't even know about to the early 1900s. These guys are actually using it. They already knew about hydrogen and oxygen, the two gases they separating, they're actually already using them. From here, I told you there were at least two pipes. One of the pipes from there, because you're going to have a buildup, actually goes to the room outside. You can get to that by going to Karen.GreatGizaPyramid.com, and you can look inside that room. That room is designed so the gas comes in through a little hole, fills the room to create a pressure to equalize within there. So that pressure is going to be forcing down, so this water isn't just flowing out, because this area down here is under pressure. Remember I said that. So it has to equalize that out here. But the way the room is engineered, that it comes out and will allow, when the water is in there, under pressure, to spill out of the room and then down and flow out the side here and maintain that flow and come back down, go towards the Sphinx. Now, the stuff outside is just as important as the stuff inside, because in here, one of the other things that does when that water is flowing out is it also flows into here, and this is like the pressure valve when it gets too much. In here you'll see that where the conduit comes, well, we can get into the communication later. Let's just focus on what happens. This water under pressure, the non-overflow amount, is actually brought into here and flows into this room. So this is enriched water coming into here. This is actually going to be doing two things. Number one, the hydrogen at first will bring some hydrogen into here to equal out, but as the water comes into here and fills, it's going to choke it off, and this is going to be maintaining pressure. Oxygen is going to come bleeding off of this one by the way the system works and the way that electrons move, is going to come into here, and it's going to be pushing down on the surface there, creating a surface tension which will bring the ambient surface tension up as if you're raising the water. But the water can't go any higher because this pool here bleeds off this side, so the water is fictitiously under pressure but spilling off before it can actually achieve its heightness, which they're tricking the water and then causing the condensation, which will occur within here, to be the capture to bring down and do it again. Wash, rinse, repeat. This is a very well orchestrated system. And The ground for the whole system is the area they like to call the Osiris shaft. That's the only where today that it goes down to the water table. The way that it's designed is we have one pool of water around this structure. That is the grounded pool. We have a second pool on this side. Oh, and by the way, the grounded pool is maintained at an elevation before it gets into the little runway there where it goes down and spills into the area I like to call the Tuapre room. You know, the smoothened edge walls there, so the water comes in, that it doesn't echo around a bunch. I would love to actually hear what water sounds like in that room. I mean, like they say, the duck's quack doesn't echo. I'd like to hear what water sounds like in a room that is engineered so it doesn't echo. That would be pretty beautiful. It's maintained at a higher elevation until it cuts down. If we pay attention to elevations, you're going to see how this whole system is designed to maintain the product they're looking for, the different variations of the heavy water. And I say variations because I think you're going to be working on different polarities of the heavy water and maintaining them. This one is going to be an environment kind of like you're in that Westinghouse big Van de Graaff generator. This one is going to be as if you're in space at altitude. This one is actually grounded, but it's less than this and more than that, and it's perfectly engineered that way. And that is the containment vessel, so it's a happy medium. I can go into more. You're welcome to just opening your mind to my fish story. There you go. I will be glad if you can show me a hole. I'll be glad to tell you where they either fixed it, or thank you for showing me something that I didn't know, because your input will help me to get us to get the 100th monkey, so we stop thinking that this thing is a tomb. Thank you. Have a good day. GreatGizaPyramid.com. Oh, station identification. Lots of photos.GreatGizaPyramid.com. Videos.GreatGizaPyramid.com. YouTube.GreatGizaPyramid.com. Anything you want. GreatGizaPyramid.com.